you, Daddy. Well, I told you that today I'm going multimedia way, man, because the two of the seasoned journalists I'm talking to all happen to come from multimedia. My next guest, this guy, I call him the strong man of Ghana, man. I don't care what you call him. I call him the strong man of Ghana, and I'm going to be telling you why when he gets here. But, folks, put your hands together. Show some love for Manasseh Azure. There we go, there we go, there we go. All right. Oh, Manasseh, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. That's for the second time.
Yeah, the first time you came on, you had just been awarded GJ, Journalist of the Year.
Yes.
I say I must call this guy.
Yeah.
You know, and since then, why a big man. But I'm going to talk about it. But let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we shall have fun. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
We are back. Welcome.
Thank you, KSM.
There's so much to talk about. I don't even want to start, but I'm going to start with the very hot thing about the book that you published. Letters to My Wife, huh?
Letters to My Future Wife.
Letters to My Future Wife.
Who is now my wife.
Who is now your wife.
Yeah.
It was a great launch, by the way. It was fantastic.
It was.
Wow.
Second lady was there, and quite a number of people, including your good self. I was happy to see you.
That's absolutely amazing. Letters to My Future Wife. So, at the time that you were writing, it was her?
It wasn't her, you know. I didn't know her. And so I was writing and she was reading.
Okay.
And like many of my readers, she connected or followed me on Facebook. And I went to do a story in the Western region, Eziama to be precise. And then I was crossing the San Nkrumah signboard going to his hometown. So just around that side, I was crossing the road and I saw a certain lady looking at me like someone she knew, but because I encountered that a lot of the time, but I crossed. Then later I saw a message on my Facebook, as Facebook message. I saw somebody at Eziama like you. I said, yes, I'm in Eziama. And that's how we connected.
Really?
Today, she's my wife.
Talk about the power of social media.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
And so this is a very good book, a good column, because I got my wife through that column.
Show some love, man. Those of you who are looking for wives, you can start developing good columns.
Good
man.
columns.
Wow. This is your second book, though, that you,
Yeah.
You always wanted to be a writer or something?
Yes, I've always wanted to be a writer, and I started writing in the senior high school. I did a couple of pieces in the junior high school, but senior high school, I joined a drama club, and so I act. And there was a time the one who was writing for us traveled, so I decided to write for my drama club, that's Scratchy Senior High School. And we had first in our zone. In the region, we had a 6th position in the Volta region. I think that was 2003. So that's how I started writing. When I completed senior high school, I wanted to get money and go to school. So I worked at the GES guest house as a caretaker. But in my spare time, I would write short stories, articles, and put them on the notice board. So the PR of the GES, the district GES, he saw my writings and said, look, you write so well, why don't you go and do journalism? And I'd applied to UCC to do BCom, and I didn't get admission.
Okay.
And I often say their refusal to give me admission or the failure to get admission there is the best thing that ever happened to me. Because he mentioned it, and I said, well, I did business, I can't go to GIG because I thought it was only available, the opportunity was only available to general arts students. But he said, no, irrespective of the course I did, I could have the opportunity to go to GIG. I applied, got admission, and today I'm a journalist. So
season 1 as that.
Well, if you add that. So writing has always been something I love so much, and I always say that if I should leave journalism one day, I'll be a writer.
Full-time writing.
A full-time writer, yeah.
Show some love, man. Show some love. Show some love. and well, I have tremendous respect for you.
Thank
because
you.
Some of us, because of where we are, we hear things. Because of where we are, we hear things, you know.
Things.
And you are one of the most, I don't know, respected and yet feared journalists in this country. I'm sure you are aware, maybe you are not, but I'm sure you know you are very influential. That much you know.
Well, some say so.
Some say so.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm saying this, for starters, you know, some of the most, should I say, the most challenging things that came up under the NDC era, uncoveries, you know, talking about Jida, talking about Sada, you know, all these articles were broken by Manasseh, you know, and well, I know that there are people who actually think that some of your articles and the way you uncovered things played a role in the loss of the election for NDC. Have you heard that criticism yourself, or this is your first time?
Well, I have heard it, and on many occasions, even on social media.
Okay.
If I put a comment there, you find people writing, and now you can rest. After helping to take away John Mahama, the NDC, now you can rest, and some say that with a lot of anger. And sometimes you meet people one-on-one and they make such comments, but I only think I was doing my job as a journalist and as an investigative journalist who writes about corruption or investigates corruption. The biggest perpetrator of corruption in this country is the government, whether the NDC or MPP. But I say the biggest perpetrator of corruption in this country is the government. So if I'm to do my work well, then I don't see how the government can escape what I'm doing. So at the end of the day, I did it for this country. I did it because I felt money was being stolen and someone needed to put the lights on what was being stolen. And I'm not happy or satisfied with the outcome, but I can say a lot of resources have been saved. If you take Jida, for instance, there was a contract, a single contract that we're paying management fees about 120 million Ghana cedis to Better Ghana Management Service, one of the companies owned by the Zoom Lion Group. And it was one of the contracts that was cancelled. We retrieved about 60 million Ghana cedis from the RLG group, that's the Agams group of companies. The money we got from them directly, 60 million Ghana cedis. And if you look at all the other contracts that have been cancelled because monies were being paid for services not rendered or not rendered properly, at the end of the day, I can say we have made some gains. A bill went to Parliament, it was passed into law as the Youth Employment Act, which is now guiding the operations of the Youth Employment Agency. So if you look at all of these and the risk you took, I look back and I'm proud of what I did. And given the opportunity, I'll do it over and over again, irrespective of what people think.
Because some even hit the ethnic factor. They play the ethnic card. They say you are from the north. The president from the north. There's something. How do you respond to that criticism that, oh, by you, he's your brother. Why are you taking down a brother? Why are you shooting a brother down? What's your reaction to that?
Well, it's a criticism that has come from many angles, including some very prominent people from my part of the country. And if you ever meet Kwame Sefakai, he will tell you this. Legacy and Legacy, Comfort and Alberto Kran had a program in Tamale. And I was one of the speakers, Springboard. I think that was 2014. And after speaking, somebody came forward and his question was, why is it that you claim to be proud of where you come from? And it looks like you're using your journalism to bring down the prominent people from this part of the country. But I think it doesn't make sense, because if they are doing something that is not right, I shouldn't say because they are from my part of the country, I should shield them. If, let's say, President Mahama did something that was not right and I saw it and I did not report it, and now President Akufo-Addo, who is from the south, does the same thing, and I go to report it, where lies my principles, where lies my conscience? And I wouldn't be true to myself, and God will not be happy with me. So for me, whoever comes within the firing range, whoever does something that I think is not in the interest of the state, and I have the right information to expose it, I don't care whether you're from the Volta region, the Western region, where my wife comes from, or in the North. No. It is the work, and we should not discriminate.
yeah, I know you drew a lot of wrath, you know, and of course then you're called the MPP was your paymasters. I remember very well.
Yeah.
Social media,
Yeah.
you know, you are working for your paymasters.
Paymasters.
You know. Then you wrote a very fiery article at the current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, about the selection of 110 ministers, and you are quite harsh. So where did that leave your critics? Did they now come back and say, "Oh, why they didn't pay you"? what was the?
Well, I think it actually started with the inauguration, the plagiarized speech, which I thought was an embarrassment, and I did a piece on it, and I said, for a president that ruled on the back of incorruptibility to the presidency, the worst that could happen to him is to deliver a plagiarized speech, because some thought it was nothing, but I think it's a sign of dishonesty. And if you claim to be principled, that shouldn't come from your camp. And fortunately, those who uttered those speeches or who had a say in his communication actually apologized. Then this piece you're talking about too, normally some were silent, and some even in the MPP have soon forgotten that I was their darling boy in the past, and they will turn around and now attack. But I think it is just normal, because some of the politicians, you meet them, and I met Alote Jacobs in the Central Region, and did an interview with him. When we finished, he said, "My brother, you are doing so well, oh. But you see, we are politicians, we're also doing our work. If you write something that is in favor of us, we use it, we quote it, and we use it to make our case. If it doesn't go our way, so don't mind him, still not credible." So understand us, but don't mind us, we are doing our work. And sometimes you understand, because some of the ministers of state, they'll come to the studio to defend the government, and when it's time for commercial break, and you engage and you say, "Oh, my brother, all that you're saying is true." You see? But it's very bad. And some of us who are inside, we're even not happy about ABC. Then, "Honorable, it's time when the commercial break is over, so let's go." They'll come. You see, the government is doing everything. Those of us in the game, we understand. And sometimes for journalists, it is not everything you can put out there. We know more than we can write about. Sometimes you respect people who confide in you and all of that. But those of them at the top, they know the extent to which we go to bring some of these stories. They know sometimes the kind of pressure you'd have to endure before and after these stories. And for those who think we are doing it because the opposition is a paymaster, it's also very ridiculous, because some of them in opposition, some can't even fuel their vehicles. So why, if I want to be paid, why don't I write for the government instead of fighting for staying?
That's but and this something that I don't know. One of the things that I was told, could be a lie, I don't know, in terms of amount of money that you have been offered. I can't, of course, backstage I'll tell you, but there have been occasions where serious amounts of money have been put on the table for you.
Sometimes even like an open check, and if you say yes, you can get something that you like. All that I can say is that these stories we do affect people. They affect businesses, and they affect reputations. And there are people who are seen in certain lives in the public. They don't even want the world to know how they make their money and some of the deals they are involved in. So in every investigation, you'd find a lot of those offers, but it got to a time that they seem to have known that nothing of that sort. I may have my flaws, but I can say to the glory of God that when it comes to being corrupted, giving money to stop something, not to say something or to say something, that you can get me. So that one seems to have gone down, but you still find people would want to appeal to your emotions for ABC reasons. If you can either slow this, or if you can stop this, or you can take this out. At the launch of my book, the Deputy Minister of Communications, Mr. Atuforsen, was there. And he said I was coming out with a story, and he was approached. He didn't mention the story, but that was just after I did the Ford expedition story. that he said it openly at the book launch, that he was approached and said, they said, oh, you have ever worked with multimedia. Manasseh is coming out with something damaging. Can you speak to him and get him to water it down a bit? And he said, he told us at the book launch that this is a bad case. And he said the reason was that because it is Manasseh, if he has his facts right, nothing under the sun
Can't stop him.
can stop him.
Wow.
This is what he said. And I'm also happy to be working with a media house that stands for these principles, because I know of some journalists who also have very good stories, but the media houses don't support them. They end up not coming out with these stories. But Multimedia Group, I can say with all the things people say about that media house, I can say it's a media house I do not regret working for, and they support what I do.
Yeah, because well, what I heard, you know, and I was actually told the amount of money, you know, and I was like, really, you know, I mean, I was beyond impressed, because there are very, very few people you meet in this country today, you know, who under such what I call tempting offers. You know, so what is it inside you? What is it inside you that gives you that strength? That you cannot bring money for me to change my, no matter what, because you could have easily done it.
Yes, KSM, there's nothing in this world that is bigger than one's credibility, one's integrity, and one's conscience. If I should sell that out, then I'm not anybody. Some may do it and survive, but I don't see how I can take money from you and drop your story and go in and do a similar story about another person. And in this world, we all have an assignment. We don't know when we'll go. So I'm here talking to you. There is no guarantee. I can't hit my chest and say I'll drive home safely.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. So if I'm given 24 hours to leave, what would be so dear to me? Would I be struggling for a house, money, a bank account, or whatever? I'd rather die with my conscience intact than to amass all the wealth and miss heaven.
That's a love, man. Wow. Somehow, you know, well, unfortunately, the facts are that, you know, people don't go with this trend, you know. It's like, hey, Charlie, get what you can. Like the same argument you're using, you don't know tomorrow, you don't know when, you know. So if somebody's giving me all this money, I've thrown a day in the people. Some use the same argument and reverse it. But you use it and say, because of that, all I have is my dignity and my conscience to guide me.
And also for the love of this country. As a Christian, my Christianity should not end only in the church, but I have to display my calling in my profession as well. So if you put all of this together, I don't see why I should not stand for what I believe in. And I always say that it is not worth having principles if you are not prepared to suffer and even die for those principles.
You should have principles. Not only should you have the principles, but you should be prepared to suffer and even die for those principles. Wow. I love it. So people don't talk like this these days, you know. People, we just have that these days. No. The principle now is, Charlie, make what you can at any means necessary and go, you know. So I'm hoping that there's a whole lot more of your breed who are willing to stick to what they believe in.
There are many people. Ghanaians are generally good people.
Yeah.
You have very bad people who are very few and influential. But our society or our system is structured in such a way that it is very difficult to do what is right. For instance, this ethnic thing you talked about, you have some of the youth in northern Ghana who think I'm against their big men from that part of the country. But when they bring Sada there, the money is supposed to help you get jobs and live decent lives. And if somebody is misusing that money and I'm exposing that person, in a sense, I'm fighting for you. So you should be an ally and not a foe. But it's too difficult for some people to see it this way. So you sometimes ask yourself, so why is it that those you're fighting for can't even appreciate that if you decided to keep quiet you would have been living like a king. You would have a lot of houses, whatever you need, you get. If you just decided to turn a blind eye to all that is happening. So when you look at all of this, and the fact that those who are supposed to be the beneficiaries of your struggle, teaming up with their own oppressors against you, sometimes it can be very disheartening. And I know a lot of people have good intentions for this country, but sometimes they just give up.
Buckle, yeah. Show some love, man. Show some love. Show some love. So the book, where can we get copies of the book?
Well, the book is everywhere in this country. In all the 10 regions, you find copies in Accra, Legon Bookshop, Joy FM, there are copies there, Airport Shell and the Community 11 Shell. Those in Tamale can get it just outside Melcom, in Bolga, Radio, A1 Radio and XT, and quite a number of places across the country.
And we got Letters to My Wife.
Letters to My Future Wife.
My future, I keep confusing with that.
I'm now about to start the Letters to My Wife column.
Okay.
Yes, now that I'm married, it's no longer going to be
it's no longer future wife.
No.
Now Letters to My Wife.
Letters to My Wife.
And you actually got your wife through this column.
Yes.
Show some love, man. Show some love. Manasseh. Very, very good hanging out with you. And God bless you. And somebody said one thing that I'll never forget. He says, if you're able to get the NDC and the MPP not to like you, it means you're doing something right. So keep it up. Show some love, man. Let's stick around. We'll be right back.
If you reach for that remote, I will bite you. The KSM Show will be right back.
The KSM Show.